Welcome to the Banter Beans podcast.
Where making sense of our nonsense is your job.
Wait, what do you mean nonsense?
I mean, you're doing great, bud.
Aw, thanks, man.
Don't mention it. Once a week, we bring a new topic for discussion.
We laugh.
I make Data cry.
What?
And we both have fun doing it.
Can we go back a second,
Without
please?
further ado, please enjoy the episode.
Well, I should probably put myself in streamer mode so I don't get boop-boops. But we can either do pet peeves, or we can do video games. What games sparked our love of video games?
Oh, sure. Let's go down the rabbit hole of what shaped us as gamers. That sounds perfectly reasonable.
Gamer time.
Gamer time.
So you usually ask me the question, but Lycan. There's a difference between our first video game and the game that basically set us as who we are as gamers and people. What would be those two games be?
So, first game I ever got my hands on was Super Mario Brothers for the Super Nintendo. And I was hot garbage at that game. I died like World 1-2 all the time. I couldn't do it. Like they say, your hand-eye coordination doesn't really develop until a certain age. I was trying to play the game at like 2.5, 3. I can remember still.
God, that is really early.
I didn't have the hand-eye coordination for that game, like at all. So constant death. I remember there was also this weird other Mario game where Mario's just on a surfboard and it was infinite. I have no idea what that was called. Yeah, I have no idea. Like, my parents picked it up. I think they rented it from Blockbuster. Vibes if you remember Blockbuster. The game booted up. I don't even remember a title screen. It just started and Mario was on a surfboard. And it was just an endless runner. It was like one of the original Subway Surfers kind of situations where you were just Mario. You had to jump waves, dodge sharks, collect coins, and it just never ended. And it bored me to tears after a while. And I went back to losing at Super Mario Bros. That was like my first gaming experience. I remember something that actually cultured my interest in games is, even though I was really bad at it and I almost wanted to give up, my mom came in and she explained that Super Nintendo was hers. And the moment that she found out she was pregnant with me, she saw a Super Nintendo for sale and just wanted it. Just wanted it for no reason. Sort of like how pregnant women get cravings. She just had an instinctual want for the console. And they got it. And my mom played Super Mario until she could speedrun it.
What the heck? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, she actually sat down and said, I'll show you how to beat this game once. And true to her word, I only ever saw her play it once. She sat down and she beat the entire game in like 10 minutes.
Jeez.
Yeah, because she knew all the secrets. She knew how to get like the cape feather really early. She knew where the hidden keys were, and she knew how to find the world jumps and skips, and she'd go straight to Bowser and end the game. And I was like, I've spent hours and hours and hours not even beating World 2, and you just beat that whole game in 5 minutes. And it was an expression of skill that I very much wanted to emulate. And while the Super Nintendo eventually broke, it did leave a lasting interest in video games. We were poor, so I didn't really get my hands on another console for a long time until one year my parents bought me the Nintendo 64, and it came with a copy of Smash Brothers. And
that's how you like it.
Yes, it was the first game that was mine, like truly mine. My parents gave it to me and said, "This is yours." And I played the absolute Jeebus out of that until I could beat like level 9 computers. And I thought I was tough crap. And then I got my ass beat by kids who were way better at the game than me. And it just kind of snowballed from there. Every time I saw someone play a game that was better than me, I just wanted to be able to match that. And and
Pretty cool.
it sparked a small time feeling of competitiveness in me that turned sour when I got an Xbox.
Oh no. Oh no. Xbox Call of Duty lobbies.
Not even Call of Duty. I got my first Xbox game was Halo Reach.
No, I know, but like the toxicity, like levels.
Oh no, absolutely. I did eventually get a copy of Call of Duty Black Ops on the Xbox 360. And when I wasn't playing zombies, I was screaming into the mic endlessly about my gun being loaded with crayons and everyone's aim being godlike. I just had shitty internet. That was the problem. I couldn't aim for crap. And by the time I realized someone was around the corner, they'd already domed me because my latency was so bad. It was great. I could play against bots fairly well, and I could play solo with friends, but Halo Reach, I was like semi-competent in because their servers were really good. I forget what the method for their servers was, but it limited how much of a, what's the word I'm looking for, advantage your internet connection was. Mm-hmm. And Halo had something that it was basically martyrdom from Call of Duty. Rockets and grenades remained, is what I'll say. They didn't just disappear because someone got a good headshot on you. You couldn't despawn my grenade because you killed me. No, if I got you with a sticky and you killed me, I'm taking you with me, buddy.
Oh yeah.
And when it came to Halo Reach, I almost always either broke even or better on KD, like forever. I had a game type named after me with my buddies, and that was like the hype of my competitiveness, is because among my friends online, I was fairly good. Not the best, but like you'd hand me a sniper and I'd be an obnoxious twit. But then when I started playing Call of Duty, and skill, latency, internet connection, all of these things mattered so much more, it just really started to burn something out of me. And I went from playing games to win to playing games to have fun. It really came to a head when I got a copy of Smash Brothers for the Wii, and I had friends who did that thing where if you're winning too much, they're suddenly not interested in the game anymore. But if they're winning, they don't want to stop. It really burns the competition out of you, because if you start to win, you feel like, oh, the fun will end. So you start throwing matches, you stop trying, and it does weird things to you as a competitive gamer. To this day, I start to feel really guilty if I'm dominating. So you'll notice, like in Popple, I'll just do crazy shit.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to that part yet.
Yeah, so no spoilers, but, well, something I did do in your video, 3 black holes. My whole goal was to keep Thanos snapping parts of the level to make it impossible for us to fight each other reasonably and just be a little shit that way. But I kept Thanos snapping myself, so I was like, maybe I shouldn't be trusted with black holes. But
yeah, I would also like use the jets, set up 3 jets and go crazy with it.
No, absolutely. But you see, like, my gaming style went from I have to win to unless everyone's having fun, I'm not having fun. And that works fairly well. I make more friends than I lose that way. And to be honest, gaming is more enjoyable than anything, especially like PvE. Like I can get competitive in PvE because it's score based, but me doing good means everyone else is doing good. So it's typically not a problem. Can you hear the tiny motorboat in the background?
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, I can't do anything about it in editing, sadly.
Using my recording time to steal the spotlight. Hi, everyone. I'm a dad. This might become as a surprise. I did not, in fact, kidnap a child and keep them with me while I'm trying to record these podcasts. I just have nowhere else to put her.
Well, you put her... Okay, I'll stop there. I was going to say something about put her in alley, but never mind.
Yeah. No, you didn't even have to finish explaining what you almost didn't say, because now I know what you wanted to say, and it doesn't make it any better. So the first game, to sum it up, because I gave you my life story of gaming like a dummy when you asked me a straight question. First game, Super Mario Bros. Terrible at it, but it sparked it. And then the game that really cemented my full passion for games would actually be Kingdom Hearts. Now that I think about it, I didn't really dip into it too much. I told you like how I changed the way I look at games, but the game that made me want to keep playing games for as long as possible was Kingdom Hearts, because it was my first real JRPG. It was my first game on PlayStation 2, and the story and adventure and learning curve for the controls set me for a loop that I hadn't experienced before. Everything I had done had been either competitive or co-op. Single player games wasn't really something I did until I got my hands on Kingdom Hearts. But it was so much fun that I played it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, I didn't hear Kingdom Hearts until just now. I was like, isn't that a major game?
Well, it is. And it is a game that kind of shaped my passion for single player games. It's the game that I can safely say is the reason why I loved The Witcher, why I loved .hack Sign, why I loved the Spider-Man games. Like, I didn't think I would enjoy single player experiences because I thought you could only enjoy games with friends, but that changed my view on it. I could honestly just lose myself for a month. Ask my wife. She continuously made jokes about me having a love interest with Geralt of Rivia because she got me a PlayStation 4 and a copy of The Witcher during our early stages of our relationship. And then she just saw me playing the game constantly. I don't think she knew how much time I'd invested in it, and she got it for me. But there were some signs of regret, honestly.
I can see it in my head.
Yeah. I still have the game.
Your journey was kind of like we had similar journeys in a way. Going on Super Nintendo to evolving into almost like I want to win, and then realizing that it's more fun when everyone is winning in a way, or just doing the weirdest stuff to make it fun.
Did you also have friends that made you feel like you were an asshole for having a good time?
What friends?
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. No, but like I was okay. There's a few bits where I couldn't do some things, like especially for multiplayer. So technically, I was more of a single player the entire life. I could go into, I guess, my origin story. You want to dive into that now?
Sure.
Okay, so Super Nintendo, like I remember my parents had a Super Nintendo. I believe it had this weird game that had like an acrobat. No, that was my friends or neighbors. There's a Super Nintendo. There was Mega Man X. You know, blue guy shoots gun out of his arm, and
yep,
like that game was really fun. It was weird though, because the first level you're immediately like put into the sea, and then you're all immediately eaten by fish, and you had to get out by jumping or shooting it inside. That game kind of taught me how to do platformers and just how games work. It was fun. There was no real story that I remembered, especially as a kid, because words were lines. And then eventually I started one rainy day. I remember it was flooding. And my grandma took me to Best Buy. I saw this copy for PlayStation 1 because my mom bought me PlayStation 1, I think in kindergarten. And I was like, oh, Grandma, can you please get me this? I had no idea what it was, but it was just a white cover with a red logo that said Metal Gear Solid.
Oh.
This game, well, number one, it's rated M for mature. And I was like, what, 4 or 5? Something like that.
Oh my god. So Metal Gear Solid 1, like the original, where it starts you off like infiltrating the compound?
Well, yes, the Metal Gear Solid, not the original Metal Gear for NES? I don't know. It was 3D-ish with polygons and bobbing heads with no facial features.
So I'm trying to remember the opening of that game. You were like outside in the snowy cold, like sneaking around big crates.
Yes.
Okay. Isn't there a part of that game where you have to find your ally? The only way you can tell is the fact that one of the guards are walking very sensually.
Yes. That is like later in the game, but yeah, I remember that.
God, I've seen a couple playthroughs of the game, and like some of it's crazy. Like there was a secret codec channel that you would only know if you like read the manual. Like that game is nuts.
Yeah, that's when like people or game developers put like Easter eggs without really telling anyone. And also just if you read the manual, like people back then, I don't know if it's the same nowadays because you don't really buy them, but like the manuals for, I know I'm getting slightly off topic a little bit. Metal Gear Solid 4, it was a comic, a full-on comic on how to play the game with Solid Snake just running around and being like, oh, he can see me, what do I do? It was really cool.
Put the tutorial in the booklet?
Yeah, they put the tutorial in the booklet. It was a full comic.
That's fun.
Yeah, sadly we don't see that anymore because no one really reads manuals.
Well, there was a game I was playing for a little bit. You're this little fox dude, and it's very Legend of Zelda. But the collectibles in the game, the pages, made up the player handbook for the game in your inventory, and it had clues and secrets to the game, secret combinations and skills. Like you had access to almost everything right out the get-go. But there was a major gimmick, I guess you could say, where you have to use the arrow keys at certain places. And if you don't realize that the arrow keys or like the D-pad has a function, you'd never know because it doesn't do anything unless you're at specific doors, and there's no input or like feedback that it is doing anything. You go up to certain doors and there are these circuits inlaid in the door. And if you use the D-pad in the correct order according to the circuits, because they tell you what to do, it'll open the door and get you into secret areas, skip entire zones, bring you to major collectibles or power-ups. And you would never know unless you found the page or stumbled upon it.
Yeah, it's a lesson on like if you are very thorough with things and you look at everything about like a blender or something, you wouldn't know that these functions exist. And that's why I tend to read manuals, even in terms of services, because those things can get really important. But you know, it kind of saddens me when people are asking me, "How do you play this? How do you do that? How do you do this?" I'm like, well, if you read the manual, you would know. Also, you would have also known the secret if you read the manual. But you know, I can't fault everyone because people just want to get into the game. You know.
Yeah, but there's a charm that was lost when we stopped caring so much about the physical media. I've heard it said by other YouTubers, not to get too off topic, but we're coming from an age where we owned the console, we owned the games, to we don't own anything. Steam, for example, if Steam goes down for whatever reason, like they just decide to stop doing games, then they shut down their servers. Every game that you've bought is not yours. You have no access to it. It's gone.
Yeah,
like
it's like the whole Kindle Nook thing.
Yeah, we're more or less semi-permanently renting access to these titles. There is a time limit to them. Whether we don't know how long that is, we really don't. But inevitably, one day, I will never be able to play, I don't know, Torchlight, Tunic, Turnip Boy, The Room, which was a really fun, like, escape room puzzle series. Quake. I haven't played Quake in forever, but I got that. Pal Worlds. Just all these games that I have. I've got a couple hundred games from my entire collection on Steam. And yeah. I will one day never be able to touch them again. And I don't have anything physical to remember that I owned them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also depends, because based on past experiences from previous companies, like again, Barnes and Nobles, when they pulled off a book from their store and suddenly everyone's book disappeared. I think with that in mind and how big the player base is for Steam specifically, I think that they would at least wisen up and figure an alternative rather than just pulling the plug and leaving, hopefully. I wish, at least. But in any case, getting back to my life story, if you don't mind. Lycan?
No, I'm here. It's got me going down a rabbit hole. Sony and Microsoft.
Come back to it.
Yeah, Sony and Microsoft have removed games from their stores slowly over the years. Their servers aren't infinite, right? So hosting and allowing people to download or have access to games that no one's really playing is sort of questionable. But like those games are just kind of sort of gone unless Sony or Microsoft, because it's typically the exclusives that we have a problem with, the ones that they don't allow to go to cross-platform or don't end up to PC. They'll just vanish. There's I just pulled open a letter on Forbes. PlayStation Store to lose more than 1,200 purchasable titles with no refunds. This was published December 9th, and I haven't read the full article. Even if they're just being like crazy and it's just 500 games that PlayStation is removing from their store that isn't sold anywhere else, those are 500 games that no one can access or play, not unless they're pirating it, which I don't support. But if it's a childhood favorite title that you're going to lose forever because you don't have a physical copy, what else are you supposed to do? Right?
I'm hoping that platforms like Good Old Games and stuff eventually have it, but no, it would suck to just not have it anymore. Yeah, you'd have to buy it again, but it's getting back on topic of what sparked our game interest. I haven't even really said anything. Metal Gear. So I asked my grandma.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Hey, can we get this this cool looking disc? It had 2 discs in it. I think that's why I bought it, or why I asked my grandma to buy it, because it was different. It was not a single case game; it was a double case game. It opened. It was like a CD case that opened from the front and the back, and it had kind of cool like back where it showed codec calls, and it had this blue-green like aesthetic, and I really liked that for some reason. So, I think that game, it shaped how I game as a gamer and as a person, because basically sneaking around, trying to solve things, and also being reactionary, guns, even like the way the characters talk to each other, very Japanese culture like, and I think I was reading manga at the time too, so it kind of clicked with me, you know. I basically played all of Metal Gear, like every single Metal Gear except for half of the very first NES version and the second NES version. Anyways,
okay.
Stealth games were my forte, as well as just there's a lot that goes on.
I'm trying to imagine your first time experiencing Psycho Mantis reading your memory card.
Oh, yeah.
That freak you out as a kid?
A little bit, but I knew it was still part of the game, because obviously, you know how when it said Hideo on the top left, like it meant to say video, but it said Hideo, like Hideo Kojima.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
No, I do not. I missed that.
Okay, so there comes a point where Psycho Mantis basically, like a beep sounds, like beep, your screen turns black, and then as if you change the channel of the video, like the TV, the channel mode between video, TV, or whatever else, satellite, it would say video on the top left.
Right.
Like
Okay,
old-
but it said
old school.
Hideo.
Yeah,
I understand.
I said Hideo. Lol.
It sometimes upsets me that things fell out when the company changed ownership, and they basically ran Hideo Kojima out of the service because they started clipping his wings.
Yeah, I forgot what the Konami was basically shooting themselves in the foot with trying to spin it in a different direction. How yeah, it'll anger a lot of people, but basically they chose almost what was popular rather than what was unique.
Right,
And that kind
and
of set the stage for Kojima leaving.
Yeah, they lost their biggest talent. He went on to make his own studio. Not entirely sure where he was going with the walking simulator, but God, I want to imagine how cool the Silent Hill series would be by now. Like, I know you're not into horror games, but even back when I was too scared to play them, I enjoyed watching playthroughs of that psychological thriller, and it was so interesting because they had two difficulty sliders. They had just the gameplay, and then they had a difficulty slider for the puzzles. Like some of the puzzles required you knowing some random biblical knowledge to be able to complete them.
What the heck?
And then you could turn down the setting to match the shapes to the spot with the colors. It's like
The triangle won't go in the circle hole.
yeah, basically it's really cool. Like you have to know some lines of Shakespeare in order to complete the poem and unlock the door, or random kindergartner math equation. Go.
I mean, when I was a kid, when they were playing Silent Hill in the room with surround sound, mind you, it's fun hearing them talk about it, getting scared, but also like trying to figure out things together. Group gaming is fun.
Yo, yeah, like there's a YouTuber that I very much like. They were the first channel I ever subscribed to. His name is Jesse Cox, and he is I love the dude a lot. Like this guy's been around since I was just starting high school, and I've been following him for years. He does this thing called Scary Game Squad, where it's him and three of his friends just passing the controller around and playing random horror games. And it's a lot of fun to listen to them banter and get freaking terrified.
Yes, it is entertainment in itself.
Yeah,
Which is why there's a lot of Let's Plays and reactionary videos. Maybe I should
absolutely
do a
like
reactionary video.
maybe. But yeah, when I watch them, it's like I'm on the couch with them, just watching it. And I can't say anything, but it's a fun experience, and like I hope that's what they were aiming for, because they accomplish it. Anyway, I know horror games aren't your thing. I thought about, you had me thinking about Hideo Kojima and how PT is like infamously just out there in various forms, and Konami wants everyone to forget it existed, but everyone's like, you ruined what could have been the best horror game of a generation. Konami will never live that down.
Well, in a way, I think, like, we are still kind of getting off topic again, but in a way, I think Kojima's leaving the company also lets him leave the shackles of Metal Gear Solid, because he did receive a lot of death threats about not continuing the game after Metal Gear Solid 4. So that's why Metal Gear Solid 5 was created, I think, other than, like the whole universe of Metal Gear Solid has shaped a lot of people. So it was kind of his way, in a way, to get out of that cycle.
Okay.
In my opinion.
So positive for him. And I've trailed you off again. I am the problem. I am the problem. We never get anything done. I talk too much. Please continue how Metal Gear was your gateway drug to gaming.
No, you mentioned that like you were trying to get me to talk more. I think now you know why.
Yeah, no, I've got my own personal problems. I'm gonna invest in some duct tape for no particular reason. But if you hear the roll and then you just it's for your own good.
Soundboard. But no, okay. Well, I mean, moving on from Metal Gear, because obviously we've talked about it a lot, and it has a lot of impact on my life. Gosh, and I can't remember. Oh, right. So it harkens back to that time when you said that your mother basically beat the game because she knows the ins and outs of the game really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she played it almost religiously. She played it religiously when she was pregnant.
Maybe that's why you're part of a gamer too. It was in your DNA, learning at the same time. Anyways,
possibly.
No, it harkens back to that time when people like replayability value was a major thing for games. I remember reading Game Informer. Yes, I was subscribed to it.
I was too.
Oh yeah, the actual magazine.
Yep.
Yeah. It would have that not just like the overall rating 5 out of 5, but the replayability factor added in there as well. These days, it's kind of hard to replay games because your friends tend to play lots of different games and new games keep coming out. But me, I would play Metal Gear Solid 1 at least like 2-3 times in a day, trying to get like the best and the weirdest Easter eggs, challenging myself to do different things. This is what I would also do in Call of Duty, is multiplayer game. I would play normally, right? And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself. I can only shoot, like every person that I kill, I have to pick up their gun and use that gun. Or go knife only. That angered a lot of people.
Oh my god. Just getting proficient with all the weapons.
Pretty much, yeah.
You ever...
Getting to the top of the leaderboard gets tired after a while. Tiring after a while.
No, absolutely. The one multiplayer facet of Call of Duty that I was obsessed with, that I loved to do, was a gun game. Did you ever play
gun
that?
Game. Yes, I love gun game. It was like a forced version of my challenge.
I remember for Black Ops 3, there were 2 versions of gun game. There was the classic that just had the gun progression, and then final weapon was always the ballistic knife. Mm-hmm. And then there was the random weapons where when the round started, you had a different progression set. It wasn't fully random, I don't think. There was snipers, there was rifles, pistols, and
specials.
And specials, yeah. And the specials ended with the exploding crossbow, I think. That got so chaotic so quickly. Just explosions everywhere after a couple, just a minute or two into the round.
Yeah, I love gun game. We should play it someday. With
no,
people.
I would. Oh my god! I wonder how many people would get. I've wanted to do some just shenanigans in custom games with you. Like we could spawn NPCs, or you and I could just go at each other with the most toxic builds we can think of.
No. Well, yeah, I would totally go for it.
I had a nasty build in Black Ops 2 a long time ago, back for Xbox 360. I would have the slug shotgun with a millimeter scanner, and I would give up my normal grenades for extra smokes, and I would just smoke out an entire battlefield and just dump shells in people who couldn't see me and run away like an absolute asshole. I think I always had scavenger on as well, so I had infinite grenades as long as I kept picking up the backpacks that people dropped.
Oh boy!
And I just smoke out an entire area and just be a phantom, and that pissed people off. I also had
that is terrifying, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely! It only worked. It only worked as long as I was the only person with a millimeter scanner.
Oh.
The moment someone else is like, "Oh, I got a millimeter scanner on my freaking dredge," it was dead.
I never got to play Black Ops 3 multiplayer.
It's a thing. Black Ops 3 is where things started to go a little bit off for me in multiplayer. I think that's where they started having like specialists, I think. Where each multiplayer character, you don't really get to customize them aside from maybe skins, but they all had special unique abilities. Like you could deploy a wall, or you had a build up for like a revolver that one shot through all armor, or you could teleport, crazy stuff like that. And the game got really weird because it was no longer just everyone has the same guns. It was people had a clear advantage, either because they had more playtime than you, or just because I don't know, they knew the characters better than you. Around the time the Black Ops 3 came out, I was losing my free time because I had to start working and I was dealing with other stuff, and I never really got around that curve that the specialists brought. So it was just kind of like the beginning of the end. And then Black Ops 4 happened, and everyone hated that.
Aw. Yeah, I kind of miss the days where everyone started off the same and still had the same. It was just a matter of skill rather than... like personalization was something that everyone wanted, but it got so personalized that it didn't really feel fun anymore, I guess.
Right. The early Halo days is probably the purest form of that I can remember. Like older peeps than even me would probably say Quake.
Customization is cool, but
yeah, but if everyone's got access to the same weapons, or if you're in an arena where it's just a matter of getting to those weapons, then the battlefield is fairly even. And there was something always so exhilarating when playing Halo, and everyone knew where the rocket launcher spawned. And everybody always went for the rocket launcher. And it was just King of the Hill bloodbath. First person to get there shoots off a few rockets. They die. Someone grabs the rocket launcher, or it respawns. And it was just a never-ending insanity. It's just... gaming has changed so much over the years, and the formula has gotten so complicated in so many ways. And I think that's why games that just take a step back and return to simplicity are just often the most, I don't know, genuine.
It's got a certain vibe that makes it enjoyable and replayable.
I think that's why I gravitated to Bobble so quickly.
Yeah.
Because it is a perfectly even playing field. You can switch out your loadout between fights, and so long as you don't have anyone toxic in the party, it's just non-stop fun with your friends.
Yeah, you try to combine skills together to make the weirdest combinations, even with other people's skills.
It's
God, I never know what happens.
just tricking Buddy and feeling no, it was Lucy. Just telling Lucy, "Hey Lucy, can you drop a knife here?" Like, "Oh yeah, sure." I took it.
Maple.
Wait, was it Lucy or Maple? Ah, fudge. Maple, I'm sorry. Tried saying it was Lucy's knife I stabbed you with. I'm sure that doesn't help anything.
Yeah, those games from back then. Like, obviously, sometimes if I go back and play a game, I'm just like, I'm kind of bored. But there are some games that just I haven't even gotten to play yet. The old games. And I really want to play them. They're not that old. They're like a couple years old. But by this time, everyone's played the heck out of it, streamed the heck out of it. They moved on to different games like Power World when Power World came out, when Lethal Company came out. Like, everyone just jumps on whatever big YouTubers are doing. I shouldn't be saying this for myself, but in a way, it's kind of good because that means people will be there to play together with, and anticipation, and it just creates what game producers can make. Like, they have a kind of a blueprints made out of us, which is cool because they listen and look at what people like. However, it's not always a good thing when it comes to originality. Everything is more geared towards a multiplayer these days, less story, and more just beat 'em up slash here, just do this, see what happens. You know, make up your journey is pretty cool, but wouldn't you also agree that having a story to a game also makes it fun?
Oh yeah, that brings me back to like when Skyrim first got big, and Skyrim was one of those games that introduced, I mean, they had Oblivion before, but it was around when Skyrim came out that people started going like more open world. Like people wanted to have a story option, but to just do things in the order they wanted. And we got Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and like people were looking at other game companies like, give us that. Nintendo gave us Breath of the Wild eventually, but it started becoming a mean balance between having an open world and actually having things to do in it. And like people started losing the plot. Literally, we were losing the plot in games. Story became second fiddle to just big, expansive sandboxes, and we got mixed results. We really did. We got a couple of good games. We got a couple of flops, and then we have indie companies coming in and being like, "Well, why can't open world be also fun?" And we got more and more roguelikes and stuff like that. Like Hollow Knight is a good example, in my opinion, of open world, Metroidvania style progression, and you don't have to do things in order. Like you can hard mode it, skip almost, if you know what you're doing, you can skip most of the bosses, most of the power ups, go straight to the boss and be like, yo, I'm here for a hard time, not a good time. And just beat your head against a wall until you get good.
Originality as well.
Right. But like those same indie developers invested story that was rich in the lore, like the collectibles and your actions, not to mention just the game itself. Like there's a whole bunch of backstory you can get through playing Ori by doing the side quests that are completely ignorable. There's in Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the sequel of the game, there is a side story that you can completely miss. You start by building a hut in the safe zone for one of the little tree people that live in the forest. And the guy is so grateful, and he talks about his wife and child that he left in the ruins of their old home after he promised to go find them someplace safe. And he asks you to go tell them, hey, there's a new home for you and your husband's okay. It's safe. And you go, and spoilers, by the way, I'm sorry. You go and you find them in this place later in the game, and they're stuck crouched together, completely encased in stone because they couldn't escape in time. And the curse in their home, claimed them. And you find a teddy bear next to their bodies that's almost completely encased in stone itself. You take that teddy bear and you present it to him, and he thanks you, but it's obviously very sad. And he makes it clear, like, just leave me, give me time. I need to process and grieve.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. Like, you get your reward and you can walk away, right? You go back to the hut and he's gone. The place you built for him. If you go back to the hut where you found the wife and child, you find a third body curled around them, covered in stone.
Oh, man.
It's a major feels moment. Oh, shit. Anyway. Games are amazing pieces of art that I love to experience, and they can range from just the experience with your friends to leaving you a lasting memory that makes you never want to stop playing new games and experiencing new things. Data, your turn.
Yeah. On the flip side, if you do get to play games together with your friends, and these games don't have story really, you make your own story. So, but going back and say, oh gosh, yeah, that was my alarm. Basically, the games that we grew up with, I think holding on to some of those past experiences that helped you grow as a gamer, as a person. and then applying it to, I don't know, if you wanted to be a game developer, make your own story, make your own game. Keep that originality, that replayability, that flair that is kind of lost these days to multiplayer over customization. Take that and keep that alive. Whether that's playing a game again from the past or just recommending it to your friends. You know, old games have their purpose, or had their purpose, and just appreciate it, you know?
I agree. Like, and that, just to piggyback off that, don't let anyone gatekeep gaming to you. Gaming can be freaking Candy Crush for all I care. If it's something you enjoy, love it. Don't be apologetic for it, no matter who you are.
Yeah, just please don't spend $1,000 a month on Candy Crush, please.
Oh my god, microtransactions are what will ruin gaming before anything else.
Anyways, sorry for cutting it short, but we are trying to keep a timer from now on. Thank you very much for listening to us, bantering as usual.
Yes, thank you for joining us on the Banterines podcast, where we are still working out our formula. Thank you for being an early listener. If you are still listening by this time and you aren't tired of us yet, we promise to do more.
Yeah, you even get into those topics we kind of jumped from our little segues.
And I commandeered a lot of the conversation. Are you crying yet, Data? I think I promised tears.
No, I'm okay. Thank you for listening to the Banter Beans podcast. If you've enjoyed this, subscribe to our podcasting channel for more future episodes, or check out Data's main gaming channel to see what we and our friends are up to on a normal day. Until next time, we hope to see you again.